we get into the video, I wanted to share a special tool that David and I have been using for over 2 years to manage our inventory on Amazon. The tool is called SoStocked, and it is a very powerful tool. It's designed specifically for inventory management. If you're in a physical products business selling on Amazon, you need to be in stock, especially with the inventory restrictions lately. This tool is incredibly powerful. If you're having trouble with inventory management, this might be a tool to help you. SoStocked is partnered with Firing Demand, and they've offered our guests, our listeners, a 30-day free trial. So click the link in the video description to get 30-day free trial. On to the video. Before we get into the video, I wanted to share a special tool that David and I have been using for over 2 years to manage our inventory on Amazon. The tool is called SoStocked, and it is a very powerful tool. It's designed specifically for inventory management. If you're in a physical products business selling on Amazon, you need to be in stock, especially with the inventory restrictions lately. This tool is incredibly powerful. If you're having trouble with inventory management, this might be a tool to help you. SoStocked is partnered with Firing Demand, and they've offered our guests, our listeners, a 30-day free trial. So click the link in the video description to get 30-day free trial. On to the video.
Welcome, everyone, to the Firing the Man podcast. On today's episode, we have the pleasure to interview Sandy Dedeian. Sandy has been an entrepreneur and a marketer since 2004. Throughout the years, she has worked with multiple SMEs in Canada, the US, and the UK, along with the Middle East, to help them maximize the impact of their marketing efforts. Sandy founded Rectified in 2017 after she completed an MBA with an HEC in Montreal. Sandy's goal is to help as many D2C brands get discovered and scale to 7 to 8 figures. Welcome to the show, Sandy.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So to start things off, can you share with our listeners a little bit about your background and your path to becoming an entrepreneur and marketer?
Yeah, well, I've always been an entrepreneur, sort of. I never was part of the big corporate world with the big companies and all of that. So I graduated in 2004 with a Bachelor of Business Administration, and then I started working in our family business. So my dad was my boss, mainly in a company where we were retailers of ceramic tiles, bathroom products, so product-based business. There was no big e-com world or, we just had like a static website and that was it. And marketing, we used to communicate with our people through magazines, the traditional way. All of this thing that's happening now didn't exist. So I did that for 11 years. And then after that, during that time, I got a master's degree also. And after that, I moved to Montreal in 2015. I got my MBA from HEC Montreal. And then I started Rectifying in 2017. So I went on the other side of the thing where I'm not the product-based business owner, but I'm on the other side helping them. And that's how the whole thing started.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for sharing your background, Sandy. And you have like a decade or so of real life experience working in a family business. And so hopefully that went well. I know working with family members sometimes is difficult.
Yeah.
So probably some stories from that. So my first question is, product brands lack an identity and they're sold as an inanimate object. Tell me why this doesn't work.
Well, if we look at the products that are available in the market, we're no longer in the old times where you create a product and it's one of a kind, oh my God, I created the washing machine or something. Every single product has been created in the market and there are slight differences between one and another, but you cannot just sell a product as a product. Let's take the most common thing, for example, just to illustrate this, scented candles. Like how many people can go and make scented candles in their kitchen and then put a label and then they try to sell it online. But what makes you buy from this person and not from the other person? They're just objects, but you're not selling them as an object. You're selling a feeling behind it, the sense of relaxation. Maybe some of them have, there was one brand that was like really targeted to like the lumberjack kind of person, it was all like fiery and woody, like like manly kind of thing. So it depends on the type of scented candle you have, but the product is the same. If you're trying to sell it as a scented candle, it's fine, but you're selling a lot more than just the object, you know?
To your point, I think the shampoo that I just bought the other day at the store, on it said it had a picture of a lumberjack, and so I'm like, yeah, I'm a lumberjack. Let me get that shampoo. And so I totally get it. I didn't buy it because of price. I didn't buy it. I bought it because it had a lumberjack on it.
See, that's how they got you as a customer.
Yeah, it was an excellent marketing. Yeah, I totally understand.
So within the e-commerce world, we have pictures and video that in text. That's typically how we are communicating with the customer. And I would imagine there's a lot of brands that say, you know, if I could talk to my end customer, I could tell them all about the brand, but I can't. I need to communicate with text, images, and potentially video. And so as we talk about, you know, forming an identity and communicating that identity to the customers, what are some ways you've seen that within the text and the photos and the video?
There are different ways to communicate. It all depends on the type of product that you have and where your ideal audience is and how they prefer to be talked to. Sometimes some companies, they only do Twitter, for example, and it just works perfectly for them. And then, well, it's no longer Twitter, it's X, but we're still adjusting to that change. Some people, they're only on TikTok. Some people only do podcasts. So it depends on where your audience is, and that's where you're going to go, and you're going to adapt to their needs and talk to them in their own language. But the thing is, when you know what your brand is about, you know your brand's personality, you know who you're talking to, you know who your audience is, that's where you're going to identify where they are and how you're going to talk to them. And you're going to know their preferences. If your audience is Gen Z, they're going to be on TikTok. It depends on a lot of factors, but once you have your brand personality written, you know it, you live it, in your day-to-day, business life, you're going to know exactly what to do, how to talk to them, and where and in which format. But there are some very interesting things that are happening in the market in terms of video and in terms of tech. And now there are threads that are in the mix, also linked with Instagram. So there are so many ways to communicate. You just need to have the right messaging in order for you to talk to them.
I've heard you talked a little bit about brand personality. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so without knowing the lumberjack shampoo that Ken bought yesterday, they knew who they're targeting. They're targeting people like Ken, their personality revolves around that. There are other brands that are more feminine. There are brands that are more fun, and you can, without you noticing, you can see and feel that. And that's the kind of people that they're attracting, If it's a funny brand or brands that make, pranks all the time, maybe I don't like that. I like more, feminine stuff. And if we go back to the scented candle, more like luxurious scented candles with nice smells that are relaxing, while other people love the ones that smell like pumpkin and sugary and this and that. And that has to be reflected in their brand so that they attract the people that are right for this product. You cannot sell to everybody. You have to sell for a specific group of people, and you cannot sell to a specific group of people without knowing who you are. Just like a person, you need to have a personality for your brand.
Yeah. So, one of our listeners on the show they're thinking, oh, I don't know any of this about my brand. I don't know what any of this is. How could they start? Let's just say, like, for example, I always use this water bottle. I don't know why, but this water bottle, this entrepreneur, he has a small business. They're selling water bottles, and they have no messaging. They have no branding. Where would you start? Gather this information. How can you orchestrate like a plan for like a day one plan?
You don't gather information. This is your brand. You created it. It has to reflect what you're creating. Whether if you're creating an eco-friendly brand that cares about the environment, etc. Like this morning, I had a conversation with someone who's selling backpacks that are made from eco-friendly organic cotton, and he's helping people in India and giving back, to them by giving them, like somebody will guarantee buying all their crop and giving them the right products, and they don't have fertilizer, etc. Like it's really like a full circle kind of a brand that revolves around Zen lifestyle lifestyle and eco-friendliness and all of that. And it's just a school backpack, you know? And this person was like, I don't do sales. I don't push my sales on people. I don't have payment plans, because if you don't have money, you shouldn't buy any product and things like that. And without him knowing, he's living the brand. He already built a personality around his brand, but he was not aware of it. So when you're creating a product, you know what kind of product you want, but you just have to make sure that this is it. I want my brand to be funny. I want it to be feminine. I want it to be eco-friendly, you know, all those things, or luxury or classic or whatever it is. And you need to have that translated in every single decision that you do in your brand. Like this person doesn't want to have sales or doesn't want to push sales on people because he believes in this lifestyle. And this is why he created the product and he's living the whole thing. So day one, you just have to decide why you're creating this product, how is it going to be, and just pay attention to all of these details and you will know. You will really don't copy other people. Just focus on what you're doing.
Very nice. Very nice. So to our listeners that say follow that advice and have defined their brand personality, what are the secrets to scaling that brand?
Well, first of all, having a defined personality, like we said, that's very important. The second is to have a roadmap of every single thing that they need to do. If they don't know anything about marketing, yes, there are very low barriers to entry in the marketing world. So every single person thinks that they can go on Instagram or whichever platform they want and post a picture about their product and everybody will buy, while it's more complicated than that. So if they can afford at the beginning to hire someone who can help them with the marketing, that would be great. And if they can't, there's a lot of, material out there that they can read. Just don't follow quick hacks and, get rich quick kind of stuff, because this doesn't work, because all of this noise that is on social media is literally just noise. Like, do this and go viral on TikTok, example. Yes, I went viral on TikTok. And then what happened? Do I have enough inventory to fulfill all these orders? Do I have enough, who's going to help me pack the orders? Am I able to reorder all of these products? What's going to happen after I go viral on TikTok? Am I going to be able to keep up with this? All of those things. Meanwhile, what you can do is work on your brand strategy, your brand personality, and then really decide on all the marketing activities that you need to do, and then combine all of this and communicate it with your people on social media with content that actually helps with conversions and not like quick hacks and going viral and all of that. So for me, it's really 3 steps. And this is the framework that I work with. It revamp, reshape, and reach. So revamp your brand, reshape your strategy, your marketing strategy, and then reach your audiences mainly.
So Sandy, kind of piggybacking off that question, I want to reach back a little bit and your previous experience working in your family business for a decade or so. Were there anything that stood out in terms of growth or expansion that maybe a new marketplace, maybe a new process or something that helped propel your family business to the next level?
When you say decade, I feel like it's a lot, but it was really a decade and a little bit more than that. So what happened is that that time was the time where everything switched from the analog world, let's say, to the digital world. So we had websites, but it was just like a static page and nothing was happening there. And that was it. Everything changed in a very fast way. So what happened is that the industry that we were in is not very sexy, let's call it. It's like toilet seats and things and, bathroom tiles and things like that. It wasn't like the nice product. And yet I said, I think we need to be on Facebook. It was Facebook at the time, and it wasn't Facebook pages. It was Facebook groups, I remember. And I created this Facebook group, and I was in the Middle East. Like, things don't happen as fast as in North America in terms of adopting the technologies. And yet I managed to have like a big group of people. And then we transferred to a Facebook page, and then the competition started copying, and, Facebook started to become more mainstream. But that thing, we were always on, the first page of Google. Our website was always like up to date with the latest whatever technology was there. And the Facebook thing, and then Instagram, all of those things. I was the first there in the country and in the industry. So it's just who I am. It's not like the product was cool cool enough to be on social media, but it's just who I am, and I managed to make it cool. So all my friends, they're like, "Oh my God, Sandy, she managed to make bathrooms cool." But that's what I did, and I think that the thing that helped us reach more and more people who were in other remote areas that didn't know that we existed or something. They started finding us on Facebook and joined the group, and know about the promotions and start messaging us and all of those things in a like primitive e-com sort of way.
So so you leverage your own kind of skill sets in marketing to kind of put the business out there when the technology didn't exist or a lot of other businesses weren't using it. So I really like that. And I think for that brand, I think like going down the marketing persona of jokes, I think that would work really well for.
Yeah.
So kind of switching direction. So as we're taping this, we're in September. This show will probably air in late October, early November. So all the listeners, entrepreneurs are going to be gearing up or getting ready to go right into Q4 shopping, which is one of the biggest days of the year for a lot of brands. And so, do you have any tips or tricks on how to get more attention or how to get more sales for Q4?
Well, first and foremost, they're going to listen to this a little bit late, but for next year, the holiday season starts in the summer. That's what I always say. And people are like, no, we want to go on vacation, especially small businesses. They don't have like the big teams to work on these things, but they should start thinking about all of this since August. I do think about this earlier because I want to push people, keep nudging them like, you should start. But start thinking at least in August and September, start really creating those partnerships or decide on what offers do you need to do, because Halloween is around the corner, Black Friday is around the corner, Christmas, Q4 is the highest selling period for all e-com brands, and the big brands know that. They work on it. It's like 40% of their annual sales, while the small brands, they have no idea. They're vacationing somewhere in Europe or something. And then in October, they call me and they're like, please help, we have nothing ready. That kind of thing. And then they ended up, I'm not saying they lose, in the process, but they could make much more than what they're making, on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all of those events. So the key isn't preparation. The key is in knowing what you're doing. And in terms of, let's say, communication, they should start talking about these things earlier. Let's say you cannot push your Black Friday offer on Black Friday only. Like, at least do it a Black Friday week or a Black Friday month or something, because there's a lot of noise out there. Like you both know how many emails you get, how many SMS you get, how many ads you get. It's like all over the place, and there's so much noise. And how can you stand out in a world where these big giant corporations are out there and they're like pushing thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars? I don't know how much they're pushing to make more Black Friday sales and to have people buy their Christmas gifts and all of that. So try to work on that earlier. If you can post or like create some kind of, oh my God, it's coming. Black Friday is awesome. You won't believe what kind of offers we have. Just like do something that will break that nose earlier than what's going to happen on the day of Black Friday, if we're talking Black Friday.
Yeah, no, I like that. So just to kind of recap for everybody listening. So just for example, Black Friday could do a week-long sale. You could also do a month-long sale, but basically like getting out in front of your customers before your competitors do that and having an extended period. So
you do not have the funds or the capacity to face these big corporations. You're a small business, you're a small e-com brand, and that's the key to just like get ahead of them.
We've talked a lot about big corporations, and I think from the perspective of, somebody just getting started or even somebody that's a little bit established and has a small team, there's only so much time that they can put into things and only so much budget that they can put into marketing. And you see a lot of big brands that have a podcast, full stack of social media, blogs, email marketing. And so as we sit here in September 2023, out of those marketing efforts, what do you think goes the furthest? Or where do you think the business owner is going to have the highest yield?
First of all, small businesses, they don't have to spend a fortune on ads. Like, they don't have the funds anyway to do that. And I do believe that they can scale organically. Like, I've seen it with many brands, people I talk to on my own podcast or people I worked with, they managed to grow organically. And then once they made it to 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, that's when they started to complement it with ads. So first of all, you can totally make it organically, but you need to make it a habit. Once again, you know who you're talking to, which platforms you want to adopt. Usually you have to be on Instagram. If you're not there, it's like your brand doesn't even exist. But other than that, there are 2 platforms that I really, really love, and that's TikTok and Pinterest. And Pinterest is really low effort compared to the other two. And TikTok has become, it's just like a raw, natural, like who you are kind of thing. And you can just go and say everything. So there are different ways you can do that. And it doesn't have to, like, you don't have to spend much time on it or much money on it. You can just, like, for product-based businesses, I've seen and I've worked and interviewed with many people who simply became like founder influencers. They just document their journey. Oh my God, today I went to the store and they didn't want to buy from me, or sampling food on the street. And then people are like, go away, I don't want your product, or oh my God, I really love your product, you know, that kind of thing. And people can resonate with your story, even if you're not doing like crazy stuff. Just like I'm packing my orders, and just put your phone and record it. You're packing orders, like it's no big deal, but it's working on social media and people are relating to all of these things. So just be yourself, document your journey and share it with people, because at the end, people buy from people. They don't buy products or services. They literally buy from you because it's you, and it's not because it's someone else's brand. So that's what I'm seeing, what's succeeding the most. It's not just like posting pictures of your product and say, come and buy it. It's more like telling a story about your product, why you created it, you know, your journey, your frustrations, etc.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to repeat that, what you said, Sandy. People buy from people. And I think that's going to, I think it'll increase as we move forward. I think a lot of the younger generations are really anti-corporation establishment, and they're more for that. And so, excellent message. So I wanted to open it up, Sandy. Any questions that we didn't ask you that we should have about branding or marketing?
Interesting. There are some things that I always like to talk about. The first one is don't follow hack, you know, and going viral and all of those things. The second thing is when to start paying for ads, which is something that we also talked about. These two are very important. The entrepreneurship journey and how important it is to have the right mindset to go for it. Maybe we can talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what mindset? Let's get into that a bit.
Now I'm a service-based company, and I was in a product-based company, and I work with a lot of small businesses. That's what I've done my whole life. And I know how difficult it is. I mean, there are, until now, so many days where I said, maybe I should get a full-time job, you know? I'll just go work and then come back home and then get my paycheck, get my insurance, you know, all of those things, and just like disconnect in the weekend and come back on Monday. Like we're recording on Labor Day, and we're recording because we're entrepreneurs, and you know, while other people are out there doing stuff, you know, barbecuing or whatever it is that they're doing. So it's all part of, is it what you really want in life, and is this aligned with who you are and what you want to do? That's number one. And then number two is having that resilience and that mindset that, no, I need to keep going because I want to reach that goal. Because if you don't have that, if you don't have the will, and I think the why, I didn't create that, Simon Sinek, but it resonated so much with me. Like, there's a higher purpose that I'm following, and that's why I keep doing this over and over again. And I know that if I go and become an employee, I'm gonna like suffocate and die, you know, doing the same thing over and over again. But there are days where I don't want to do this, but then the next day you have to bounce back and then start again. And then that's like, it's resilience, and it all in your mind, and you have to keep on doing. I don't know if you guys are in the same situation.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. The mental gymnastics of doing the right thing, it was way easier when I was working for somebody, and getting those paychecks is something that I think we definitely both go through. But I would say that's offset by tremendous amount of upside and happiness that is granted by making your own schedule and having control over your time and ultimately your destiny. So yeah, that's I would say that's very familiar.
Do you have like the Sunday scaries, or is it?
You know, I would say that there are times, Yes, certainly. There are times. I would say the longer we do this and the more good people that we surround ourselves with and build up a team of really awesome people, it makes those go away. Makes going in on Monday a lot more fun. There was a big transition when we went from kind of solopreneurs doing everything by ourselves to having a team of awesome people around us. And I sure enjoy the team aspect of it a lot. So Ken, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. And there's always, mindset is crucial. I would say it's probably the majority of hurdles that entrepreneurs will face in terms of, like the imposter syndrome or, weakness entering the mind. Oh yeah, I just want to go back and work a 9 to 5 and check out on the weekend, versus what David mentioned, all of the pros, making my own schedule, saying yes or no to things, surrounding yourself with a team of experts, and then kind of working on higher level stuff and things like that. So absolutely, mindset's crucial.
Just a quick tangent. I have a friend that recently fired the man. And the reason that he did was he had planned on it was his daughter's birthday. He planned on taking the day off and taking her to Build-A-Bear. His boss said no, he couldn't. And that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And that is, I think those scenarios happen a lot. Like not necessarily daughter's birthday, but things like that. And I remember thinking there's a 0% chance that would happen to me because I am an entrepreneur. And so it was a fan of the podcast and he fired the man and we're super excited for him. But that's, on the bad days, it's nice to think of things like that, the flexibility.
This makes me think of my dad because he was always there. Like he used to come for lunch. He used to come home just to have lunch with us, because it was his own business and he can leave. And he was always present for all of our events and all of that, and nobody said no to him. So he was one of the people who encouraged me to have my own business anyway. So
you had also mentioned, so switching gears a little bit out of mindset, you had talked about at what point should people turn on ads, and this is something that I think a lot of people wrestle with is, do I have enough followers already? Am I putting ads, placing dollars into platforms that I'm going to have a positive ROI? And so can we talk a little bit about that?
First of all, it's not about how many followers you have, it's how much you are converting with your content. And I do believe that your content needs to work organically first. And then once that's working, you just complement it with ads. Because if that's not working, I've seen it a lot. Some people just started and from the beginning they had ads. They didn't have organic content. They just post once in a while. And now if they reduce their ad spend by $1, their sales just drop, While if you start with your organic content and it's working and it's generating sales, regardless of the number of your followers, you're making enough sales. That's when you can complement it with ads. Why am I saying your organic content is working? Because when it's working, it means that your messaging is right, that you're doing the right thing, you're targeting the right audience, you have everything in place, and it just becomes easier to start with ads and use the right copy, target the right people, have the right messaging, you know them very well, it's working organically. Now you're just adding another layer, which will take you to a whole other layer, a level in your sales. And that's the indicator for me.
And then in terms of, you had talked about Instagram and TikTok. And so just thinking about content for those platforms, if you were starting a brand, at what point would you say my organic content is working? Is it a number of sales or is it a number of impressions, or what is kind of that threshold for knowing I've arrived?
Yeah. Well, there are so many people who talk about how many followers you have and your reach and your impressions and your likes and your comments. But for me, the indicator, if we just take what we have as insights on social media, is the website tab, link tab, like these things, how many people actually are interested to go to my website. You can also see how many people reach out through DMs and ask you questions about your product, because they're interested. These are all indicators that people are interested in you. And then you can also see all the information of what's happening on your website, how many are converting, how many people came from Instagram, how many came from TikTok, etc., etc. And these are the metrics that are important, like how much you're converting, how many people are going to your website, and then how many are buying. And sometimes between how many people are going to your website and how many are buying, there might be something that's not working on your website too. So that's a whole other topic to talk about. But usually sales and conversions are the most important metrics. And you can know that with any Google Analytics or, all of those tools.
And before we get to the fire round, can we talk about rectified.co and what type of clients you serve?
So I work with direct-to-consumer brands. If you're asking, so some people still don't understand what direct-to-consumer means. It means you have a product-based business and you sell directly to your customers through your own channels, whether it's online. Sometimes they're even starting to open stores. They're going brick and mortar, also direct to consumer. So it depends. But what I specialize in are people who are selling online through their own e-commerce stores.
Okay. And what type of services do you offer?
So we have different depend on the business's category, but the most popular one is the mastermind that we have. It's usually people who are making 6 figures or low 7 figures and something is not right and they're unable to scale. And that's where we jump in. And in the mastermind program, we help take their brand to the next level.
Sounds good. And we will post links to all of that in the show notes for any of our listeners that are interested. So Ken, why don't we get into the fire round?
Yep. Sandy, are you ready for the fire round?
Ready.
All right. What is your favorite book?
If it's a marketing book, or I really like Superfans by Pat Flynn. It's a really nice one. I love Purple Cow, Seth Godin. These two really portray everything that I believe in, mainly in terms of marketing and content and having, an audience that's around you. There's so many, if there are so many books around mindset, I don't know. Let's just stick to this.
No, those are both good. What are your hobbies?
Hobbies, marketing. No, I'm kidding. I do a lot of yoga. I play piano. I love to learn languages. Yeah.
It sounds like you're busy. How many languages do you know?
5.
Awesome. I'm always impressed with anybody that knows more than 2. So this question is for most of the people that we have on the show that they've had a corporate job and quit. But it sounds like you've worked for the family business. And so maybe we don't want to ask this question. We're going to skip this one for today. So the last one, what do you think sets apart successful e-commerce entrepreneurs from those who give up, fail, or never get started?
It's not just for e-com, it's for all businesses. But if we're talking e-commerce, I think it's very important to ask for help. And this is something that we don't do. It's our business and it's our baby. And it's we know everything. We know what's best for us, etc. But asking for help or for advice from people who are experts, or there are even organizations who help startups. There are so many things that you can do to be in an environment that encourages you to go further and be surrounded by people who will give you the right advice and will shut down the noise everything that's happening around you and all those things that are in your mind that I don't want to go on. Maybe I should quit and get a full-time job kind of thing.
Okay. No, that's excellent.
All right. Sandy, what would be the best way for people to get a hold of you if they are interested in following your content or potentially working with rectified.co?
Mostly active on Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. These 3 platforms, they can find me. The handle is my name, and they can DM me any questions they have about my services. The best way to work, it depends on the size of their business, but if they're on the smaller side and they want to scale, they can join the mastermind group, which is a 4-month program. There's one every 3 months, so they will always find a group that's available to accept them. And yeah, if they have any questions, they can reach out. I always answer my DMs. No assistants, no bots. It's me, so they can talk to me and I will answer them.
Very nice. And we'll post links to all of that in the show notes. Sandy, I want to thank you for being a guest on the Firing the Man podcast, and we're looking forward to staying in touch.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching this video. If you got some value out of this, would you please hit the like and subscribe button? This is a free way to support the show, and it really helps us build our audience.